to Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
It's the then versus now challenge!
Welcome back to the Scrapyard, friends. As you can see by the title card, today's event is Then vs. Now.
That's right, we're racing classic, iconic cars versus their modern-day counterparts.
In Race 1, it's the 61 versus the 96 Impala.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
The officials have cleared the track. Let's get this tournament started.
3, 2, 1,
go! The 61 flies off the line!
He goes for the block.
He's in the air!
The 96 takes it.
Can we check if the other driver is okay?
This is Wild Bob in the yellow jacket.
Yellow jacket? We can't see him. Who cares what he's wearing?
No, son, yellow jacket. Like a bee. That's what I call my bird.
His jacket? His bird? What is this guy talking about?
The yellow jacket's the name of my whirlybird, son. This here jump copter. Anyhow, it's looking like that Impala's gone over faster than my Uncle Teddy after a long night of hooch. But our good old boys and girls of the EMS got that driver out plumb quick. And I figure he's ripping a rip down that track once again.
Thank you, Bill.
It's not Bill, it's Bob.
Yes, Bob. Well, let's get to the replay for a closer look.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see the 61 gets it off the line by half a fender.
While going for that block, that long car bottoms out at the transition of the downhill and all 3,700 pounds of that car go airborne.
Let's see it again. Just look how many times that heavy car spins. Wow!
Meanwhile, that 96 just steers around him and tears down the track.
And from our new finish line cam, you can see he's still accelerating as he crosses the line.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Even though that 1996 Impala wasn't first off the line, he's first on the scorecard. Now let's get on with Heat 2.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are back at the starting gate for Heat 2.
The Impalas have changed lanes with the 61 in lane 1 and the 1996 in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
The 96 is out strong.
He's losing it.
Did he just crash after the line?
We'll have to check the replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see the 96 gets a big jump off the line.
Both racers decide to go wide, keeping it clean.
But then right there, coming off the downhill, the 96's rear tire goes in the air.
And he just loses it.
He desperately tries to recover, but bounces off the guardrail.
And that lines him up perfectly to head for the safety rocks after the finish line.
Safety rocks?
Sure, why not? And he hits them so hard you can see his alignment come completely out of whack.
And just off camera, he hit a utility pole, taking down a power cable.
I hope he could get all that fixed before the next heat, because they're all tied up.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
That's right. It looks like the 1961 Impala has managed to stay alive. The next race will decide who moves on.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are back at the starting gate for the final heat of Race 1.
Neither driver has had an easy time getting here.
After that last heat, our utility pole hasn't had it easy either.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're neck and neck.
The 96 barrel roll.
The 61 wins.
That 96 hit hard.
EMS is on the scene.
Well, I'm figuring now I know why this fella chose a 96 Impala.
And why is that, Bob?
Because 96 is still 96 when it's upside down. And since he's having such a hard time keeping the shiny side of the car up, this fella might be the smartest driver of the bunch.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see both Impalas pull off the line evenly.
And they both go wide at the same time.
They even have trouble off the downhill at the same time.
Except the 96 has way more trouble.
He barrel rolls and comes to a hard stop into that barrier.
Yeah, he went from Team Now to just Team Ow.
I got word from Bill and the EMS team that he's been airlifted to a hospital and is in stable condition.
Lucky for him, he totaled his car at a junkyard, so he'll save a bundle on towing charges.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, with that unfortunate second loss, the 96 Impala is out of the tournament.
Yeah, he's also out of car. So, after starting off by somersaulting 3,700 pounds of Impala through the air, that 61 just cruised his way into the first spot of the quarterfinals.
Correct. And that win also earned 1 overall point for Team Then.
It's the then versus now challenge.
Race 2, it's the BMWs with the 2002 facing off against the M3.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are back at the starting gate, all set to get race 2 underway. The officials have given the all clear. This track is hot.
In lane 1, we have the 1974 BMW 2002, and in lane 2, we have the 2011 BMW M3 GT2.
3, 2, 1, go!
Big lead by the M3.
2002 crashes!
The M3 hits!
But he recovers!
Let's go to the replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see the M3 just puts all that power down immediately on the track.
The 2002 is struggling to keep up, and he decides to draft behind the M3.
But the 2002 loses it off the downhill.
The downhill transition here at the Scrapyard is much trickier than it appears.
That transition has caught many drivers by surprise.
Point being, that 2002 introduces himself to the barrier.
And that hit was so loud it startled the driver of the M3, causing him to slip, skid, and hit the opposite barrier.
But he saves it quick. At first I thought he hit the wall twice, but from our finish line cam, you can see him recover and come just millimeters from hitting the wall right before the finish line. Wow, what great driving.
Impressive. Most impressive.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Even though he had a slight hiccup at the end, the M3 GT2 easily puts the first win on the board. That 2002 has a lot of work to do if he hopes to catch up.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are about to start Heat 2. That 2002 needs to keep that car in control and has to pull out a win any way possible.
The GT2 was purposely built for racing. I thought being solo to the ground he'd bottom out coming off the downhill, but he accelerated straight through like he was driving on freshly paved tarmac. Well, the officials have cleared the track. Best of luck to both racers.
This time in lane 1 we have the M3 GT2 and in lane 2 we have the 2002.
3, 2, 1, go!
They go wide!
They crash!
Is it a tie?
It's too close to call. We'll have to wait for the official word.
I'm on with the judges right now. They're reviewing the tape. They said it's close, but I don't believe it. The 2002 won it! He's still in it!
We have to see that again on the replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Wow, I can't wait to watch this replay.
They actually both get off the line at the same time.
But look, the 2002 actually starts to lose it before the end of the downhill. I think that's a Scrapyard first.
The 2002 actually gets both his rear tires in the air.
And that causes him to T-bone that GT2. I mean, that was a perfect 90-degree angle hit.
That GT2 is so solidly built to endure the 24 hours of Le Mans, it didn't even flinch. But look at that 2002. He just goes with it, shifts into reverse, and wins backwards. Yes, backwards.
That 2002 must have been listening at the start of the race when I said he needed to win any way possible. Boy, did he deliver.
Let's take a look at it from the finish line cam.
Some racers do win by a bumper, but it's usually the front one.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, in what can only be described as an amazing display of reverse drifting, the 2002 has managed to stay alive.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are back at the gate for Heat 3.
After an amazing win, the BMW 2002 has tied it up.
The winner of this race will secure his spot in the quarterfinals. Ground officials have cleared the track. We are a go.
For the final race, we have the 2002 in lane 1 and the GT2 in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
The GT2
The
takes the
2002
lead.
loses it again. The GT2 takes off like a rocket.
It's all over. The GT2 moves on.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
They get off the line clean.
But again, the 2002 loses it right around the transition.
And the GT2 is unfazed again.
After he sees the 2002 spin, he knows this race is his. He centers up on the track and just accelerates all the way across the line.
Do you realize that the 2002 spun every race, and the only way he crossed the finish line was in reverse?
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
With that huge win, the BMW GT2 just won the race, secured his spot in the quarterfinals, and scored the first point for Team Now, tying up the overall team scores. Up next is Race 3, the 64 Stingray versus the 2012 Corvette Z06.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
We're back at the gates, all ready to start Race 3.
In Lane 1, we have the 1964 Stingray, and in Lane 2, we have the 2012 Z06.
3, 2, 1, go!
The Z06 takes the lead.
The Stingray corkscrew.
Did the Z06 try to block? Let's go to the replay.
Yes, but first, let's check that driver. Wow, Bob, what's it look like out there?
Nope.
Nope. Nope what?
Nope, as in 64 is not still 64 when it's upside down. It's not even 46.
But how's the driver doing?
I reckon he's fine. That Corvette's all fiberglass, so it's lighter than a basket of feathers. I'm sure it don't weigh much of nothing sitting on his head. Probably barely even a headache. You want to talk headache?
No, we don't.
One time I got kicked in the melon while trying to shoe a filly on my uncle's ranch. Talk about smart. Heck, then another time, there was a time when I got hit in the head.
Thank you, Wild Bob.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
We can see the Z06 immediately goes wide once that gate opens up.
Yeah, almost like he knew the Stingray was gonna flip. Sabotage! Sabotage!
Now, before we start pointing fingers, I think it's just smart driving. He knows that by the numbers he has that Stingray beat in every way that matters. So I think he just wanted to stay as far away as possible to avoid any collisions.
Well, I guess it paid off because the Stingray literally gets airborne at the transition from the downhill. His car is perpendicular to the track while it's still in the air.
And that Z06 drops the hammer and accelerates all the way across the line.
And this is what I caught a glimpse of during the race. Right here, you could see the Z06 still tries to go for the block, even after the Stingray flipped.
It's actually more smart driving. You said so yourself during the reading of the rules. Drivers win by crossing the line any way possible. So the Stingray could have won while sliding on his roof.
I guess you're right, but I'm still not ruling out sabotage.
I'd expect nothing less from you.
Hey!
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
The Stingray ended the heat with a big wreck, and the Z06 ended with a big win. Let's see if he can hold on to that lead in the next heat.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Wasting no time, the officials have given us a thumbs up for Heat 2. Remember fans, the Stingray needs to win this if he wants to stay in it.
A quick lane change has the Z06 in lane 1 and the Stingray in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
The Stingray's in the lead.
He bounces.
Z06 aggressively blocks.
The Stingray pushes him across the line.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we see the Stingray just barely edges out the Z06 off the line.
And the Stingray barely avoids a repeat of his Heat 1 wreck at the transition of the downhill.
And the Z06 capitalizes on it and starts blocking feverishly.
But at the end, the Stingray isn't having any more of it and tries to use the pit maneuver on the Z06.
But instead of stopping him, he pushes the Z06 across the line.
It was a nice move, but unfortunately, it was too little, too late.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And after that heat, the Z06 has the wins he needs to continue on to the quarterfinals.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Wait, why are we even having a Heat 3? Doesn't the Z06 have the points he needs to continue?
Well, 1, the rules say each race consists of 3 heats. And 2, this either gives the Stingray a chance to save a little face or it gives the Z06 a massive amount of bragging rights. Don't forget, This is the Scrapyard.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Yeah, then let's do this!
Since the Z06 won, he chose lane 1, leaving the Stingray in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
The Z06 blocks hard!
The Stingray sends the Z06 into the wall.
The Z06 barely crosses the line.
Let's check our final replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
The Z06 pulls out hard to immediately get in front and go for the block.
Yeah, he looks like he's going for more than bragging rights. He's going to bring some punishment.
But the Stingray reverses it and uses the pit maneuver on the Z06 and sends the Z06 crashing nearly head-on into the barrier.
And does the Stingray purposely skid to a stop so he could enjoy the show?
The Z06 was still able to limp across the line.
Yeah, sure, the Z06 won the heat and the race. But the Stingray sent him into the wall and then just kicked back to watch it all happen. That's not bringing the punishment, that's bringing embarrassment.
An interesting turn of events. Who knows, maybe we just witnessed the birth of our next grudge match event.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
No need to really see the scorecard, but JP and the graphics department worked really hard on it, so we might as well show it. Well, with that win, the 2012 Z06 has put Team Now in the lead at 2-1.
And we know the Z06 will face the 1961 Impala SS in the first quarterfinal race.
It's the then versus now challenge.
Race 4 is the 1972 Skyline versus the 2017 GTR.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
In lane 1, we have the Skyline HT 2000 GTX, and in lane 2, it's the GTR.
3, 2, 1, go!
The GTR blocks.
He's going backwards!
GTR crosses the line.
So awesome, I need to see it again.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see that right off the line, the 2000 HT tries to play it safe and goes wide.
Yeah, but once he sees the GTR coming in for the block, he tried to pull away from the wall to counterblock.
But the GTR doubles down and blocks the 2000 HT hard.
He doesn't just block, he blocks and then shifts into reverse and races backwards. Who is this driver? A stuntman?
But the 2000 HT isn't fazed by the showboating. He just keeps the pedal to the floor and powers through straight as an arrow.
But then, the GTR out-showboats his own showboat by blocking in reverse. And it's a block of race-ending proportions.
Yes, that block was so hard to the wall, the 2000 HT's emergency engine cutoff kicks in and it's all over for him.
From the finish line cam, you could see the GTR knocks that 2000 HT right into the edge of the last metal barrier. And those metal barriers ain't safety rocks because they're not going anywhere. To execute that block would take extreme precision, but you gotta remember, the GTR did it in reverse. He might be the best driver the Scrapyard has ever seen.
Okay, relax, that was only Heat 1.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Wow, that GTR put one spectacular win on the scoreboard. Hey, you know what? Since he put on one of the best backwards shows, I'm giving him a backwards checkmark as a bonus.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
I don't want to waste any time. Let's just get right into it.
The officials have cleared the track. In lane 1 we have the GTR, and in lane 2 it's the Skyline HT 2000 GTX.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're neck and neck.
GTR drifts.
No, it's a drifting block.
Wow, he's the best. Replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see they pull off the line evenly.
Yeah, who cares? Show him what the GTR did at the end. I don't believe it. He's the best. The best.
Look at that GTR power drift.
Into the HT 2000 GTX, causing the GTR to straighten out and sending the 2000 into the opposite side of the track's edge of the metal barrier. I'm calling it right here, right now. The GTR is the most precise driver the Scrapyard has ever seen. He's completely toying with the 2000.
It's still very early in the tournament, and we all know what happens to that showboating rabbit in the story of the tortoise and the hare.
Well, I'm sure last year's winner in the 1988 Monte Carlo will be watching this GTR very, very closely.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, after that last race, the GTR has secured his spot in the quarterfinals. And can I get a normal check mark back, please? We're trying to run a professional racing channel here. This is a junkyard, not a circus. Thank you.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Even though the GTR has secured his spot in the quarterfinals, we're still having Heat 3 to give the HT a chance to put at least one win on the scorecard.
I can't wait to see what happens now that the pressure of winning is off. The GTR can really put on a show. This is going to be amazing.
Having already won the race, the GTR gets to pick his lane, and he chose to keep things the same as the last heat, and he'll be back in lane 1.
3, 2, 1, go!
The HT goes for the pit.
What? Did you see that? It's magic. How did he do that? Replay.
Please, a little decorum. We have a driver still on the track. Let's check on him first.
Well, now I know. And knowing is half of something or other.
Now you know what, Wild Bob?
I spent the whole race trying to figure out what the HT stood for. And after seeing how this fella drives, I know it stands for head trauma.
Bill, please, a little decorum.
Stop calling me Bill. It's Bob. Wild Bob.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Go ahead. I know I'm not going to get a word in edgewise anyway.
Really? Okay, awesome. The GTR pulls out with the lead. The HT tries to pull a pit maneuver to get the GTR to spin. But right at the transition of the downhill, somehow like magic, the GTR causes his car to bounce. Yes, bounce. And the HT goes under the GTR and completely misses his attempt at the pit maneuver, causing himself to flip. Then the GTR rips down the track so fast he knocks down a tree after the finish line as he blows past it. Now I know why they call this car Godzilla. It is a monster.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And with that win, the GTR put in 3 wins.
Ooh, let me do this part too.
Fine. I'm telling you, he's like
And
a
with
child
that win, the
with a new
GTR
toy.
dominated
So like
this
a
race
child
and
with a bag
completely
full of
shut
toys.
out and shot down any hopes the HT 2000 had. He easily moves past to the quarterfinal round. And he scores another point for Team Now, further securing their lead.
It's the Then versus Now challenge.
Race 5 is the 67 Mustang GT versus the 2020 Mustang Shelby GT 500. It looks like the officials have cleared the track. This race is a go.
In lane 1, it's the 1967 Mustang GT. And in lane 2, it's the Shelby GT 500.
3, 2, 1, go!
They touch.
The 67 loses it,
The Shelby hits.
but crosses the line.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see they leave the line evenly.
But they have the slightest collision in the middle of the downhill.
But that light tap was all the 67 needed to lose control and hit that barrier hard.
Yeah, but that hit is nothing compared to how hard the GT500 hits the opposite barrier. His rear wheels get up off the ground.
And it's such a devastating impact that it sends him flying to the opposite side of the track and across the line.
And check this out on our finish line cam. It shows just how hard that Shelby hit that barrier. Look at that. He actually shifted the entire track. That's got to be the hardest hit in Scrapyard history. How he didn't immediately total that car is beyond me.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
While it might not be the prettiest win, the GT500 was able to put the first win on the scorecard.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
We want to give a big thanks to the wrecking crew here at the Scrapyard for getting the track back into position.
The officials have double-checked their work and given this heat the thumbs up.
We got a lane change with the GT500 in lane 1 and the 67 GT in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
The 67's in the lead.
He loses
No,
it
he recovers.
and wins!
Wow, let's see that replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here you see they take off as evenly as a pair of synchronized swimmers.
Yet somehow, miraculously, the 67 keeps pulling ahead.
And then he power slides, blocking the GT500.
What a smart move by the GT to keep the Shelby's horsepower in check.
And by forcing the GT500 to drive around, he wastes time and track while the 67 GT easily slides across the line.
It's not always about the horsepower. Sometimes it's just about great driving.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, with that win, the 67 GT has managed to slide onto the scoreboard and tie it all up. The next heat will decide it all.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are back at the gate to start Heat 3.
And this one's not just for bragging rights. It's for the win and a spot in the quarterfinals.
The officials have given us the salute. The track is clear and this race is a go.
For the last heat, we have the 67 in lane 1 and the GT500 in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
The GT500 takes the lead.
The 67 gets loose.
The 500 blocks and wins.
That one was clean.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
The GT500 pulls hard off the line.
And he keeps half a car lead the whole length of the downhill.
And trying hard to keep up, the 67 GT makes a mistake coming off the downhill.
And the GT500 capitalizes on that mistake, blocks him against the wall, and easily takes the win.
That GT500 just put on a textbook show of how winning should be done.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And with that making it look easy win, the GT500 wins the race. Plus, he just secured his spot in Race 3 of the quarterfinals. Furthermore, that's one more point for Team Now. It's looking increasingly harder for Team Then to catch up. They need to start putting some wins on the board if they hope to stay alive in this competition.
It's the Then versus Now challenge.
Race 6 is the 71 Datsun 510 versus the 2005 Nissan 350Z.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Looks like the officials have cleared the track. Let's get race 6 started.
In lane 1, it's the 1971 Datsun 510, and in lane 2, it's the 2005 Nissan 350Z.
3, 2, 1, go!
The 350Z blocks.
510 is into the wall.
He stalls out.
The 350Z wins.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see the 350Z immediately using that extra horsepower to block the 510 into the wall.
The 510 uses the pit maneuver to get the 350Z to spin.
And spin it does, but he reverses it and sends the 510 into the opposite wall.
And the 510 goes into the wall. Brutally. The impact actually sends him spinning backwards.
It causes him to stall out instantly, but he still manages to park his car against the opposite barrier. That was a lot of car control under pressure.
Meanwhile, the 350Z is able to correct himself, cross the line, and straighten himself out with the help of those safety rocks.
Again with those safety rocks.
They worked, didn't they?
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Anyway, safety rocks aside or not, the 350Z was able to skid across the line and score the first win in Race 6.
We're back at the gate, and the officials have cleared the track after realigning the safety
In
rocks.
lane 1, we have the 350Z.
Hey, I wasn't done.
And in lane 2, we have the
But I was
510.
just letting everyone know that the safety rocks are back in place. So
Quiet, the countdown is starting.
3, 2, 1, go!
It's the 510 off the line.
he blocked.
The 350Z stalls.
Replay, replay, replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
The 510 gets a quick launch off the line.
And this time the 510 blocks the 350Z into the barrier, causing the 350 to stall out.
It's a complete reversal of the last heat.
Exactly, especially since the 510 loses it and at the end uses those safety rocks to straighten out.
That's it. I can't take it anymore.
Hello, studio. Have I used any vacation time this year? Because if not, I'd like to make a request. Yeah, I hear Cancun's nice this time of year.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, while he figures out his travel plans, I could tell you that that little 510 has just tied it up and kept his spot in this tournament alive. The next heat will decide it all.
We are back at the gate where the officials have cleared the track for the final heat of the day.
Safety rocks, double save.
Don't even start.
Fine. And lane 1 is the 510. Lane 2 is the 350Z. And at the end of the track, keeping things safe are the safety rocks.
What did I just say?
3, 2, 1, go!
The 350 blocks.
The 510 is into the wall.
What was that? Was that a 720 across the line?
And did you just see what saved him? It was the safety rocks. Safety rocks. It was the safety rocks.
Shh. Let's just get to the replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Looking here at the replay, you can see it was actually the 510 that tried for the block first.
But the 350Z reverses it, and the 510 loses it at the transition.
And the 510 driver works hard to keep that car from flipping. What great car control. What an incredible save.
You bet that was close. I even saw Wild Bob start running towards his copter.
But while the 350Z's block was race-ending for the 510, it was far from perfect because he lost control of his car as well.
He managed to do 2 complete spins as he crossed the line. He must have been so dizzy.
But the safety rocks were there to save the day.
Hey, I wanted to say that.
Trust me, I know.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, then I'm reading the scorecard. At the end of the day, the 350Z won the heat and the race, but no one worked harder than those safety rocks.
That's it, you're done. Along with his win, the 350Z just secured his place in Race 4 of the quarterfinals. And looking over the team score, it seems like Team Then had a really rough day and is trailing Team Now 1 point to 5.
Can Team Then even catch up at this point? They started off strong when the 61 Impala sent the 96 Impala to the big parking lot in the sky. But their team hasn't won a race since.
Well, Team Then has 2 races left to make a big comeback.
It's the Then versus Now challenge.
Race 7 is the 69 Camaro SS versus the 2017 Camaro ZL1.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Looks like the officials are just as excited to get today's event started, and they've already cleared the track.
In lane 1, it's the 1969 Camaro SS, and in lane 2, it's the 2017 Camaro ZL1.
3, 2, 1, go!
It's the ZL1 off the line,
The 69 barrel rolls.
and he slides his way across the line.
He's upside down. So you know what that means.
I reckon I haven't seen griddle cakes flipped as much as those flapjacks on Team Then.
Please, we're supposed to be impartial commentators.
How can I be impartial? These Team Then fellas have been giving me so much overtime, I'm gonna be rich.
Yeah, you'll be able to retire the yellow jacket and buy yourself a brand new AH1 Super Cobra.
Cobra? Where's Cobra? Yo!
Yeah, thank you, Bob.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see the ZL1 rip off the line as soon as that gate goes up.
And he's a full car length ahead for the length of the downhill.
And desperately trying to catch up, the 69 loses it at the transition of the downhill.
He doesn't just lose it, he loses it in breathtaking fashion. He barrel rolls and slides the full length of the straight all the way across the line.
A second place on your roof is definitely better than a DNF.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, the ZL1 just rocketed himself on the scoreboard with today's first win.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, it looks like the officials have swept up all that roof paint and cleared us for Heat 2.
We have the obligatory lane change in this heat with the 2017 Camaro ZL1 in lane 1 and the 1969 Camaro SS in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're even.
ZL1 comes in.
The 69 car rolls hard. What's all that racket, Bob?
I'm checking to see if I got a fork in my toolbox.
A fork? For what?
A fork so's I could stick it in that there Camaro, 'cause he's done.
Can you see the driver? How's he doing?
It looks like he's sitting stiller than a desert trooper in the hot sun.
What does that even mean?
Don't you worry about it none. Me and the old yellow jacket will get that fella to the hospital plumb quick.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You could see the ZL1 rip off the line as soon as that gate goes up.
And right at the transition of the downhill, the ZL1 goes in for the block.
The 69 tries to steer around him, but his car is already in the air, and at that point his attempts are totally fruitless.
But when he hits the ground with his tires turned like that, it causes him to go into the wall hard.
And that impact is so ruthless it sends him flying through the air backwards, almost to the opposite side of the track.
Meanwhile, the ZL1 centers up and just hauls down the track.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, fans, with the yellow jacket flying its way to the hospital with the driver of the 69 Camaro, I'm guessing since the ZL1 already won 2 out of 3 heats, there really isn't a reason to continue with Heat 3.
Hello? Yes?
What? What is it?
I'm on with the studio. They said the rules clearly say each race is 3 heats. Team then has to find a substitute to finish the race, or they run the risk of forfeiting the tournament.
What? They can't just throw that on us like that. They must know that each of these heats takes months of planning the races the spectators.
Well, fans, we're back. And as totally planned, do we have a surprise for you?
Yes, since the 1969 Camaro SS is unable to finish his race, Team then requested to send in a member of their own team to take his place. And they selected...
Well, when you say selected, more like the driver practically fell all over himself to volunteer. It's the 1972 Nissan Skyline HT 2000 GTX. This guy suffered such an embarrassing shutout defeat in Race 4 at the hands, or wheels, of the 2017 Nissan Skyline GTR R35. He's looking for any excuse to save a little face and put at least one win on the scorecard. And look at this! The boys in the graphics department even came up with a special stand-in standing scorecard just for him.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Oh wow, this is so unheard of. This is gonna be great.
In Lane 1, it's the 1972 Nissan Skyline HT 2000 GTX. And in Lane 2, it's the 2017 Camaro ZL1.
3, 2, 1, go!
ZL1 goes for the win. He has a blowout. It's all over. The HT wins.
Unbelievable! Do you believe in miracles?
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Wow, I'm still shocked at what we just saw.
It's never expecting the unexpected that makes Scrapyard Racing so great.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Look how clean they both get off the line. Where was this HT in Race 4?
The ZL1 sees they're even, so he immediately tries to block.
But it goes wrong at the transition of the downhill. He hits hard and has a blowout.
Meanwhile, the HT's concentration is 100% locked in. He sees the ZL1 lose it and never takes his eyes off the finish line.
You're telling me he was laser beamed straight down the whole length of the track. Had he shown up like this on the day of Race 4, he would have given the R35 some competition.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Amazingly, the HT becomes the first car in Scrapyard history to be shut out yet still walk away with a win. Incredible.
It's wild because Team Ben really needed a win, and they finally got such an important one, but it doesn't even count. But maybe this is the shot of morale this team needed.
It's the then versus now challenge.
And our last race in round 1 is the 71 Ford Maverick versus the 2016 Ford Focus RS.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Looks like the officials have cleared the track. Let's get race 8 started.
In lane 1, it's the 1971 Ford Maverick. And in lane 2, it's the 2016 Ford Focus RS.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're even.
Focus goes for the block.
He loses it,
but he recovers and wins.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
They both get off the line nice and evenly.
But every racer at the Scrapyard knows the transition is the trickiest and most dangerous part, and that's where the Focus decides to block.
But that Maverick outweighs the Focus by a bit, so he swats him off like a fly at a picnic.
But as luck would have it, the Focus was able to use his collision with the opposite wall to his advantage.
Yeah, he was able to straighten out right before the line and win.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
With that fortunate recovery, the Focus was able to put the first win on the scorecard for Race 8. Sadly, this is the point where things start to look impossible for Team Then.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
We're back at the gate for what very well could be the last decisive heat of round 1.
Well, if the HT win in the last race did raise the team morale at all, the time to cash in on it is now. It's do or die time for that Maverick and Team Then.
That driver must be feeling an enormous amount of pressure.
Looks like the officials have cleared the track. Oh man, this is so tense.
In lane 1, it's the 2016 Ford Focus RS, and in lane 2, it's the 1971 Ford Maverick. Good luck to both racers.
3, 2, 1, go!
Maverick in the lead.
Focus goes for the pit.
He misses.
The Maverick wins. He's still alive.
I don't believe it. No more talking. Replay now.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
The Maverick was hard on the pedal as soon as that gate goes up. His reaction was flawless.
And even though he has 125 horsepower less than the RS, he was able to keep half a car length lead on the downhill.
And while trailing behind in a last-ditch effort, the RS tries a sliding pit maneuver.
Yeah, but the only thing he manages to hit is the wall, and it cost him.
Meanwhile, the Maverick, again with a heart surgeon's level of concentration, keeps his eye on the finish line and doesn't even flinch. What a performance.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
With that win, the Maverick not only put a win on the scorecard, but he's just given a life-saving jolt to his and Team Then's dream of winning this tournament.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
This is it. The final heat of the final race.
Well,
what?
Well, there could be a double DNF, and we'd be forced to do a restart.
I stand corrected. This could be it. Perhaps the final heat of the final race.
For what could be the last time, we have the Maverick in lane 1 and the Focus in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're neck and neck. The Maverick blocks.
He hits the wall and wins! It's inconceivable! The upset no one saw coming!
Unbelievable! The Maverick has single-handedly kept Team Then in the competition.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
It seems like the RS was going to stay wide and clear of that Maverick and use the all-wheel drive and horsepower advantage to try to win.
Yeah, but all the launch control in the world couldn't help him predict that the underpowered Maverick was going to try and block.
What a genius move, because once he was in front of the RS's extra horsepower, it actually helped push the Maverick down the track.
And then the Maverick goes for some crazy pinball type of block I've never seen before. It sends the RS flying backwards and himself across the line. That does it. From now on, this crazy move will be called the Maverick.
For once I agree, a win of this magnitude deserves to be commemorated. The Maverick it is.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, race fans, what can only be described as one of the greatest comebacks in Scrapyard history. The Maverick manages to come back from a deficit, win, and keep his whole team in the competition. It seems the HT's win in the last race was what Team Then needed to regroup and come back with a vengeance.
The Maverick moves on to what is arguably the most well-deserved spot in the quarterfinals. Plus, he scored the last team point of the tournament, so even though Team Then is currently trailing Team Now 2-6, The Maverick just gave Team Then a window just big enough to where they could still win it all.
Wow! Was that just about the most exciting racing you've ever seen or what? Round 1 is all done. We have all our spots filled for the quarterfinal. Plus, astonishingly, Team Then has kept themselves alive in the team tournament round.
I'm sorry, fans. I know after that last race the intensity is so thick you could cut it with a knife. But I'm afraid I have some horrible, tragic news.
What? What is it?
We just got word from the studio that the driver of the 69 Camaro SS didn't make it.
No!
Yes, unfortunately. And it looks like all the drivers have already made their way onto the track to pay some small bit of tribute.
Wow! Both teams are there! Even last year's winner, the Monte Carlo, is out there!
Yes, it's in moments like this when we get to see just how tight-knit of a group the diecast community is. Bitter, heated rivals, maybe even enemies whenever they're on the track. But off it, they're a family.
But they're literally on the track right now.
Oh, it's a figure of speech.
Hey, is that the Impala out there? And has it already been stripped out for parts?
Well, yes, he did need to cover his entry fee and towing charges after he totaled his car. This is a fully functional junkyard after all. But regardless, he wanted his car on the track one final time to pay respect to a fellow fallen racer.
Sad. It's so sad.
Wow, you're taking this really hard. Did you get a chance to know the Camaro driver before the tournament?
No, I never met him. It's just his accident was on the straight. And in my heart, I know if he would have made it past, if he would have just made it past the line, the safety rocks would have saved him. The safety rocks.
Oh my goodness. Even now? Anyway, fans, we were going to take the standard time off to prepare for the quarterfinals, but in lieu of the current heartbreaking situation, we'll be taking a small break to give Team Then the time they need to pay their final respects, mourn, and get their heads and hearts back in the game. So from all of us here at the Scrapyard, thank you, and please race safe out there.
Surround yourselves with safety rocks.
No. Don't listen to him. He has no idea what he's talking about. Thank you for watching, and please follow us on Instagram and Facebook for details on when we'll be back.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing!
Next Friday! Fabulous quarterfinal action begins on the Scrapyard track as the Then vs. Now challenge continues. Children under 35 are free. Unlimited free parking. That's next Friday, June 4th. Gates open at sunrise. Race 1 starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Scrapyard time. Only on YouTube. Don't miss it!
Scrapyard Diecast Racing!
It's the Then vs. Now challenge!
Welcome back to the Scrapyard, friends.
Wow, what an intro! Should I have worn a tux? I mean, I see the Scrapyard has spared no expense on these quarterfinals. I guess there goes our year-end bonus.
I'm sure the fans are all here to see some exciting quarterfinal racing action, so we'll keep this intro brief so we can get right into it.
We will quickly go over the rules for any new viewers watching for the first time. And thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe to our videos, ring that little bell for notifications, send us email, follow us on social media, send us gifts. Go nuts.
For the head-to-head races, they each consist of 3 mandatory heats. Make it across the stripe any way possible. And these are not timed events.
And since we're now at the quarterfinal level, each race is now worth 2 points for their team. And remember, the winner of this tournament will race for a chance to be crowned the greatest car in history. And they'll be facing this guy, the 1988 Monte Carlo SS.
But we have a huge surprise tonight. This Scrapyard track has been totally revamped for the quarterfinals. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Scrapyard 2.0. Let's start with the straight. It comes in at 5 clunkers wide. It got some fresh blacktop, but we left a wide shoulder for a loose traction surface that allows for plenty of opportunities to block, pass, drift, show off, or your final chance to give it your all. But one wrong move and you can face the solid metal barriers, which have ended the dreams of many a racer.
Don't forget to mention those safety rocks at the end. Those rocks have kept a lot of racers from becoming permanent residents on a pile somewhere here at the Scrapyard.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Now let's look at our beautiful new downhill. The downhill is about 3 3/4 clunkers wide. Now you'd never guess that this was rescued from a scrap heap.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Oh, I didn't even say that. I said scrap heap, not scrapyard.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Okay, we get it. Anyway, the downhill has now been paved. We're sure that will generate harder and faster launches off the line and keep them straight as they head for that difficult transition.
And if you thought the transition at that downhill was tough before, then you haven't seen anything yet, because at the transition is where we added a new section of track that we call the bottleneck. The bottleneck is half a car width narrower than the downhill, coming in at 3 1/4 clunkers wide. This gives drivers a disorientingly false sense of forced perspective. Drivers can no longer play it safe hugging the wall for the length of the downhill. Now you'll have to do some serious driving or you'll hit the edge of that bottleneck hard. Plus, offensively, this is where aggressive racers will make their move to take out the competition early in the race. And if you've noticed, we put in a second difficult transition at the end of the bottleneck.
Well, you say left in, but that's because the saws can only make a 45-degree cut here at the Scrapyard.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Oh, shut up!
Haha, serves you right for butting in. Anyway, fans, we've extended the track to hopefully bring you more excitement, more action, and more racing fun, because your entertainment is our #1 priority here at, say it with me, Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Alright fans, enough jibber jabber. Let's get into it. The reason you're all here. Race 1 of the quarterfinals. Representing Team Den, we have the 1961 Impala SS. He literally had a hard start to this competition right in Race 1, Heat 1. A missed block to the 96 Impala sent this 61 flipping through the air like a trapeze artist. But he quickly recovered and had a solid second run in Heat 2, and then the 96 had a car-totaling wreck in Heat 3, and the Impala became the first car into the quarterfinals.
Representing Team Now, we have the 2012 Corvette Z06. He completely dominated his race, putting on a clinic of effective blocking. It was due to his consecutive wins that we learned that all 3 heats are mandatory, even if you have the wins needed to advance. This Corvette was the first to shut out his opponent, even if the 64 got the last lap in Heat 3. I'm sure that's left a bad taste in the mouth of this Z06 driver, and he'll be looking to take it out on the Stingray's teammate, the 61 Impala SS.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And check it out, eagle-eyed fans will notice we've changed the scrolling text in the pre-race so that the lane and the car names now scroll in columns instead of rows. I know that sounds confusing, but hopefully it'll make it easier for newcomers to know who is who. See, we're always trying to improve here on SDR. Ha! I bet you thought I was going to say the whole thing, didn't you?
What you should have said is in Lane 1 it's the 1961 Impala SS, and in Lane 2 it's the 2012 Corvette Z06.
3, 2, 1. Go!
The SS goes to block.
Z06 crashes into the bottleneck.
The Impala loses it.
But he recovers and wins.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see as soon as the gate goes up, the Impala cuts in for the block.
And right here you see how the Impala perfectly lines up the Z06 to hit that edge of the bottleneck.
Yeah, but it doesn't go quite as planned because that Z06 goes right into the SS. And he barely misses the wall and somehow gets that car on one wheel like a 3,700-pound figure skater.
But after tapping the walls twice, he was able to straighten out and make it across the line.
And those safety rocks are already showing us what they're there for. They brought that Impala to a stop as soft as jumping on a pile of pillows.
Yes, solid granite, paint scraping, pillowy softness. He also hit the tree. Are those safety trees now?
Well, they are trees planted at the end of a racetrack on a junkyard. What else do you think they're there for?
Anyway, moving on to what really matters is from the finish line cam, you can see that the Z06 was able to recover, but he unfortunately hit that last metal barrier and was not able to make it across the line.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, checking our first quarterfinal scorecard, the Impala has one-wheeled his way to a Heat 1 win.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Heat 2, let's do this.
Mandatory lane change sees this heat with the 2012 Corvette Z06 in lane 1 and the 1961 Impala SS in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
What the heck?
The Z06 is out strong.
The Impala loses it again!
The Z06 takes it.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
What the heck even happened here?
Well, it appears the Impala started off too close to the starting gate. We recommend racers keep back at least 1 foot, but some racers will try to get every advantage possible.
Yeah, but that cost the Impala big time, because as he was burning out, the gate actually shifted his car. That's gotta be a this place first. I'm not falling for that again.
And that shift was all he needed to send him into the wall and throw him off for the rest of this heat.
Thrown off? That's putting it mildly. He ping-ponged his way down the bottleneck and almost took the length of the straight on his roof.
But he fought to recover right before the line.
Yeah, and look at that Z06 play dirty. He catches a glimpse of the Impala trying to recover in his rear view, so he takes out the safety rocks just so the Impala has no chance of using them to straighten out.
I'm sure that was a small bit of payback for the Impala, sending him into the edge of the bottleneck in Heat 1.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Looks like the Impala just learned the hard way why there's a reason we ask drivers to keep back from the gate. Maybe we should put up a sign. That's a costly mistake for a quarterfinal round, and now things are all tied up. Hey fans, have you always wished that you could work at the scrapyard?
Well, have we got a surprise for you? Now you can get official Scrapyard gear and feel like you're one of the team on the wrecking crew here at the Scrapyard.
And it's not just clothes. We have clocks,
So you never miss a race.
notebooks,
So you can keep score at home.
and pillows.
So you can cry in it when your favorite racer loses.
There's a heap of products available to make you feel like you're part of the scrapyard.
I see what you did there. Junkyard, heap, I got it.
So head over to the Scrapyard official supplier by searching Ribuero on redbubble.com.
Or even better, just click on the link right down there in the description.
And while you're there, check out all of Ribuero's great designs.
That guy is awesome. He has enough designs to fill his own junkyard. Not that his stuff is junk. Oh, you know what I mean. He has a heap.
And each product you buy not only helps you feel like you're part of the Scrapyard team, but it helps keep the Scrapyard open and bringing you awesome diecast racing like the one you're watching now. Thank you so much,
and now back to the race.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Heat 3 and it's all tied up. One of these racers is about to trade their journey toward glory for a trip home.
Wow. Okay, Mr. Melodrama. We're back to the 1961 Impala SS in lane 1 and the 2012 Corvette Z06 in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're even.
Z06 blocks hard,
Impala loses it again.
but he recovers and wins again.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
They got off to a really nice, clean start.
Yeah, I bet the Impala thought that too, because right when he least expected it, wham! A massive block right into the bottleneck.
And you can see how the narrower stretch of the bottleneck left no room for the Impala to recover.
And again, he almost took the length of the straight on his roof.
But we've seen that Impala driver flip that car around like it was a toy. And he used all his skill so he could win this quarterfinal on its wheels. He crossed the line backwards, but at least he was right side up.
Yeah, poor Wild Bob. If everyone keeps recovering like this, he'll be watching the quarterfinals from the helipad. I hope the Yellow Jacket has comfortable seats.
The Yellow Jacket is a salvage helicopter from a junkyard. He's lucky that thing even has seats.
Good point.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Anyway, Scrapyard fans, with that incredible display of car control, the Impala just eliminated the previously undefeated Z06. And just like he was able to be the first racer to secure his spot in the quarterfinals, the Impala just became the first racer into the semifinals. But more importantly, he just scored 2 huge points for Team Then, helping them cover that huge point deficit. Team Then is now only trailing by 2 points. Welcome back to the Scrapyard, friends.
And thank you for joining us for Race 2 of the quarterfinals.
We have a great race today with the BMW M3 GT2 facing off against the Nissan GT-R R35.
I think you're forgetting something.
And what's that?
You forgot to say the mighty, undefeated, probably going to win it all, most precise driver in Scrapyard history, the monstrous Godzilla R35.
How could I be so careless? Oh, because I'm a professional, impartial commentator. That's how. Anyway, moving on, fans. Let's look at a quick recap of how these racers made it here today to the quarterfinals. Representing Team Now, it's the 2011 BMW M3 GT2. In his race, the M3 easily won Heat 1 as the 2002 missed a block and self-eliminated. And I think his overconfidence caught him off guard when the 2002 did this unbelievable T-bone block into a reverse drift for the backwards win by a bumper. I'm really surprised that move didn't get named the 2002. But the M3 quickly refocused and sideswiped the 2002 into the wall for the deciding win in Heat 3. In his Carfax segment, we mentioned how that car is purposely built for racing. This is another chance for him to highlight his driving skills and further cement his reputation as the one to watch in this competition.
Well, when it comes to the one to watch, you know there's only one car for me. Also representing Team Now, it's the kaiju of car crushers. The one and only Godzilla himself, the Nissan GT-R R35. In Heat 1, he blocked into a reverse block, sending the HT into the edge of the metal barrier. Then, to add insult to injury and show off his precision, in Heat 2, the R35 sent the HT into the same exact metal barrier edge on the opposite side of the track. And finally, in Heat 3, in what can only be described as racing magic, when the HT tried to desperately go for a block, the R35 somehow made his car bounce, causing the HT to go under the R35. The HT was in a reality-warping state of disbelief and would only snap to when reality and the wall came crashing back into his front bumper.
This is the moment when teammates become rivals. Let's get up to the broadcast booth and get this race started.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Arguably the 2 most skilled drivers in this competition lined up as opponents for the first time.
This might go from the Then vs. Now challenge to who is the king of the heat.
In lane 1, it's the 2011 BMW M3 GT2. And in lane 2, it's the 2017 Nissan GT-R R35.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're even.
GT-R blocks.
Into a reverse pit maneuver. How is that even possible?
Let's go to the replay and find out.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see how evenly they pull off the line and descend down the downhill.
It's like they're teammates, but they both want the win. Seems like they're just dipping their toes into that competitive water.
But then the GT-R decides to dive in and goes for the block.
And when the M3 tries to drive around, the GT-R goes into Godzilla mode and does a reverse pit maneuver. I can't say it enough. This guy is the best. He's unbeatable. Can we just line him up against the Monte Carlo right now? I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep talking. From the finish line cam, you could really appreciate how incredibly precise that move was executed. He delivers a pit maneuver in reverse, ending it for the M3, then corrects his car and stops at the finish line, pointed directly at the finish line cam, like he's posing for pictures. I'm the GT-R, I'm here, and shower me with adoration. This guy is the best.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, it appears the GT-R is trying to prove you can win while simultaneously putting on a show, and he'll go down in Scrapyard history as being the first racer to score wins against the competition and his own team.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are at Heat 2. The BMW M3 needs a win here if he hopes to stay alive.
Mandatory lane change gives the M3 the opportunity to see what it's like to lose to Godzilla from the other side of the track.
Forgive us, fans. Someone has forgotten we're supposed to have decorum and be impartial. In Lane 1, it's the 2017 Nissan GT-R R35. And in Lane 2, it's the 2011 BMW M3 GT2.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're even.
They connect!
Did you see what the M3 just did? Was I the only one who noticed how he just won?
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Again, you can see how evenly they pull off the line, and they stay that way all the way for the length of the downhill. And they both go for the block at the opening of the bottleneck. But once they hit the straight, the GTR decides to go wide and use all 565 of those horses. The BMW, knowing he only has 485, he does what was done to him when he was the Goliath to the 2002's David. He steals the 2002's T-bone block into a reverse drift for the backwards win by a bumper move for his own win. Incredible. While the GTR might be here to put on a show, the BMW just proved he's here to not only learn lessons, but to teach them as well. Wow, fans, this is Scrapyard Diecast Racing at its best.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And with that win, the BMW M3 GT2 did what needed to be done and has managed to stay alive.
And that's why you never take a baby rattlesnake from its mama.
Thanks, Wild Bob. Now we know. SDR.
If you know how the rest of that goes, then you were probably an 80s kid. And what better way to let the whole wide world know that you grew up in the greatest decade of all time is with one of these here shirts from Railroad Design. Heck, he's made it so easy you can just click on the link in that there description and order up one of these fine apparel. And each item you buy helps keep me flying and gas into Yellow Jack. But you better act quick, cause these shirts are gonna go faster than a toupee in a hurricane. Yo!
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Looks like the officials have cleared the track for the final heat of Race 2.
I don't believe it! The GTR just lost!
Did that just register? That was the last heat.
I don't believe it. Let's go to the replay.
We did the replay. Or rather, I did the replay. You just sat there, blank, drooling on the floor. Well, fans, while he catches up to the rest of us, in Lane 1 it's the BMW M3, and in Lane 2 it's the GTR.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're even.
GTR box takes off and wins! Godzilla is back, baby! Yes! He's the best! Look how evenly they take off and go down the downhill. But the GTR just keeps inching in ever so slightly. And once they get into the bottleneck, wham! He blocks the BMW the whole way through that tight squeeze. Then he downshifts and tears down the straight. And just to prove that Godzilla is back, he does something monstrous and takes out all the safety rocks and leaves the safety trees shaking.
No.
No what?
I'll let you have your little safety rocks, but we are not, I repeat, not calling trees safety trees.
Well, how about calling him something we could both agree on?
And what's that?
Cue the bumper.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
We can agree to call the GTR the winner. Plus, we can also agree to call him semifinalist because he just secured his spot in the next round.
True, all true. While the GTR continues, the BMW has nothing to feel ashamed about. He put on a marvelous display of racing to make not only his fellow teammates, but also everyone here at Scrapyard Diecast Racing proud.
Just not as good as Godzilla.
Well, regardless of the individual win, Team Now just scored 2 more points in the overall team scores, doubling their point advantage over Team Then at 8 points to 4.
It's the Then versus Now challenge!
Quarterfinals.
Welcome back to the Scrapyard, friends.
Today's big event is Race 3 of the quarterfinals.
It's the 2020 Shelby Mustang GT500 versus the 2017 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1.
And for those of you who are just catching up, let's see how these contestants made it here today.
Up first, representing Team Now, it's the GT500. In Race 5, Heat 1, he was well ahead and then purposely went into the wall, spun, and crossed the line in reverse. When asked why he did that, he said, "I like to win in reverse so I can watch my opponents lose." I guess that's easy to do when you have 760 horsepower under the hood. But before that move could be named after him, the 67 GT did the same exact thing to him in the following heat, proving two could play at that game. Who knows, maybe backwards winning is a Mustang thing. With things all tied up, neither Mustang was trying to showboat in Heat 3, and the GT500 just shredded straight down the middle of the track for a textbook muscle car win.
Moving on to today's other Team Now member, we have the Camaro ZL1. This driver has probably had the most interesting journey to the quarterfinals. In Race 7 Heat 1, he raced the top of the 69 Camaro for the first half of the race, and then raced the bottom side for the second half. Then in Heat 2, the Camaro race ended in tragedy. Actually, I'm still too emotional to talk about it. Go back and watch Race 7 if you missed it. But, moving on, in Heat 3, in a Scrapyard first, the Camaro ZL1 faced a stand-in racer from Team Then, the Nissan Skyline HT2000 GTX. And amazingly, the ZL1 lost due to a severe tire blowout. But misfortune aside, the ZL1 still had the wins necessary to make it to the quarterfinals today.
So, before we get up to the broadcast booth, do you have any predictions today?
Oh yeah, at the end of the day, Team Now will definitely have another car in the semifinals and win the 2 overall team points.
Wow, what powers of deduction. Anyway, fans, we'll see you at the starting gate.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
We are at the starting gate. Let's get this pony car challenge started.
In lane 1, it's the Shelby GT500, and in lane 2, it's the Camaro ZL1.
3, 2, 1, go!
Into the bottleneck.
Camaro flips
Mustang does the backwards win thing.
and just touches the line. Wow, let's go to that replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Even though these cars seem evenly matched, we have to keep in mind that the GT500 has 110 horsepower more than the ZL1 at 760 to 650.
Yeah, I know it's a heritage name and all, but that car should really be called the GT760.
Even with that deficit, the Camaro does a fabulous job keeping up with the Mustang.
And I like how they both stay wide in anticipation for that squeeze at the bottleneck.
But once they get into the bottleneck, the Camaro goes for a risky block and it costs him. He flips hard and is left spinning on his roof.
Yeah, I think the GT500 left all team loyalties at the starting gate, because once he sees that Camaro flip, he pulls the Mustang's signature move and wins in reverse just to watch his opponent lose. Wow, that's hardcore.
And he crosses the line with only his bumper.
But what I think really adds salt to the wound is that little roll forward, like he's teasing, saying, "Look, I'm giving you another chance. I'm gonna cross it. Hurry up, I'm gonna cross it."
Wow, it's hard to believe these two are actually teammates.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, the GT500 has just backwards winned his way onto the scoreboard.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Officials have cleared the track. We're all set for Heat 2.
Lane changes see the Camaro ZL1 in lane 1 and the Shelby GT500 in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
They connect.
Into the bottleneck.
Another blowout.
Mustang really spins for the win.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Coming down the downhill, both racers connect, each one fighting for the middle to line themselves up for that tight clearance at the bottleneck.
And the Camaro almost managed to give the GT500 a hard stop by pushing him into the edge of the bottleneck.
But the GT500 powers through and actually sends the Camaro into the wall.
And the Camaro never manages to recover, and when he comes out of the bottleneck, he has yet another blowout. You can see it's so forceful that it actually lifts his car in the air. That's 2 massive blowouts in one competition. Where is this guy getting his tires? Off the clunkers here at the scrapyard?
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Me and my big mouth, I walked right into that one.
But look at that Mustang. While trying to do his watch you lose move, he actually hits the wall and does 2 full 360s across the line.
Yeah, and in that car, he must have gone from watching you lose to losing my lunch.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Sadly, another blowout has cost the Camaro the competition. Let's see if he can get that tire changed and put at least one win on the scorecard in Heat 3.
It lives, Master. It lives.
Yes. Yes. The Torque Monster lives. On this beautiful apparel designed by Ribuero. And now you can be the first villager to capture it for your very own by pillaging all these fine items by clicking on the link below. Every purchase you make helps this scrapyard keep racing and helps me creating more creations like this. Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are, the last heat of Race 3. These guys have pretty much been repeating their Round 1 performances, but the Camaro had his blowout in Heat 2 instead of this one. Who knows? Maybe the Mustang will repeat his previous Heat 3 and just tear down the middle. Or the Camaro will go off script and pull out a win.
All officials have cleared the track for the last run of the day. Lane 1 is the Shelby GT500, and in Lane 2 it's the Camaro ZL1.
3, 2, 1, go!
They go wide,
Camaro flips.
and the Mustang shreds down the center of the track, as predicted.
Like they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, what's there to say here? Same race, different day?
For the Mustang, maybe. But this was untested waters for the Camaro, and good for him for trying something new.
What's that, flipping over instead of another tire blowout?
No, he knew the odds were the Mustang was just going to use his 110 extra horsepower to tear down the track, so he tried a dangerous block, trying to land on the GT500 to either stop him or get pushed down the track.
He got pushed down the track all right, but it was on his roof. Too many Camaros on their roof in this competition. I still can't talk about it.
Anyway, I guess knowing the Camaro had already lost coming into this heat, there was no need for his watching you lose move, so the Mustang just barrels down the final straight to get the race over with and his win on the scorecard as fast as possible.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And with that win, the GT500 manages the first shutout of the quarterfinals. Plus, he scored 2 more points for Team Now. And just locked up Race 1 of the semifinals, where he'll be facing off against the 1961 Impala SS.
It's the then versus now challenge.
Quarterfinals.
Welcome back to the Scrapyard, friends.
We're back for the last race of the quarterfinals.
It's Team Then's 1971 Ford Maverick versus Team Now's 2005 Nissan 350Z.
And the winner of today's race will fill the final spot in the semifinals.
Now, let's take a quick look at the journey each racer took to make it here today.
Up first, representing Team Now, it's the 2005 Nissan 350Z. In Race 6, Heat 1, the 350Z pulled off an amazing block into a reverse block, ending that heat for the Datsun 510. Then, in Heat 2, the 510 returned the favor by blocking the 350Z to a standstill. But in Heat 3, the 350Z managed a drifting block, got loose, and spun his way across the line.
Moving on to today's other racer representing Team Then, we have the 1971 Ford Maverick. He's quickly become a fan favorite. In Race 8, Heat 1, the Maverick started out looking slow, was blocked and lost, but due to his weight advantage was unfazed by the Focus RS. But in Heat 2, which was the Maverick and Team Then's last chance to stay alive in this tournament, he stunningly shot down the track, leaving the RS dumbfounded and too late to pull the same block maneuver from Heat 1. Maybe the Maverick had been playing possum the whole time. Then in Heat 3, the decisive moment for Team Then, the Maverick positioned himself so the high-powered Focus RS actually pushed him down the track. And then he finished the race with that crazy pinball block, which was immediately named the Maverick in his honor.
This is a very important race, fans. Not only will it determine who will fill that oh-so-important final spot in the semifinals, but it will determine if mathematically Team Then even still has a chance to win the team trophy. Now enough talking. Let's get racing.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, fans, let's get this started. The last race of the quarterfinals.
During our intro segment, the officials were busy behind the scenes clearing the track, so we are a go for race. In lane 1, it's the Maverick, and in lane 2, it's the 350Z. 3, 2, 1, go!
350Z into the lead.
He blocks in the bottleneck.
Maverick loses it.
350Z wins.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see the 350Z edge out the lead. And it's easy with 300 horsepower compared to the Maverick's 145.
And the 350Z tries to push the Maverick into the edge of the bottleneck to end this race fast. But like the Focus RS learned in round 1, that Maverick weighs as much as a battleship.
It's actually the 350Z that goes into a tailspin as a result of his own block. But it turns out to his advantage because coming out of the bottleneck, the Maverick ends up underneath the 350Z.
And while trying to avoid the 350Z, the Maverick ends up spinning and comes to a heat-ending collision with the wall in the final straight. And like in round 1, the 350Z manages to once again straighten himself out with the help of those safety rocks.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And with that, the 350Z puts the first win on the scorecard. And again, the Maverick finds himself in a do-or-die situation.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Drivers have circled back to the starting gate and they both look tense. This could be the one to decide it all.
We're just waiting on the officials to do their final safety check. And there it is. This track is hot. In lane 1, it's the 350Z, and in lane 2, it's the Maverick. 3, 2, 1, go! 350Z blocks.
He loses it.
Maverick flips.
But crosses the line. Unbelievable. He's still alive.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Again, the 350Z edges out the lead and tries a ricochet move off the edge of the bottleneck.
But it seems that any attempt to use brute force against that battleship is pointless.
The 350Z loses control wildly after that collision, and the Maverick, seeing his opportunity to stay alive, floors it towards the finish line.
Yeah, but he comes off wrong at that second transition of the bottleneck.
A mistake many drivers make, because it's not as steep as the one on the downhill. Drivers get overconfident exiting the bottleneck.
But he spins on his roof backwards across the line. Do you think he did that on purpose? Did he steal the Mustang's watching you lose move from race 3 and one-up it by doing it on his roof?
Who knows? Maybe he's looking for a second move to be named after him.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, the overweight and underpowered Maverick just did the unthinkable and has managed to stay alive against a car that's nearly half its weight and twice as powerful. No wonder he's a fan favorite.
Hey yo, how you doing? It's Frankie Z here. I've been a cab driver in this city for the past 37 years, and I've seen it all. But what I ain't ever seen is shirts like this Ribuero is making. That's some high quality right there. And you don't have to just wear them either. You could use them as a napkin if the corner guy put too much cream cheese on your bagel. And you could even use it to stick in a busted radiator hose to get back to the station on time so your boss don't bust your fucking balls for being late. I'm telling you, nothing says New York like this fucking shirt. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. So go ahead, click the fucking link right there, order some stuff, forget about it.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Oh man, it's all riding on this one.
For the last heat of the quarterfinals, in lane 1, it's the Maverick. And in lane 2, it's the 350Z. 3, 2, 1, go! They're even.
They both lose it!
Where's the Maverick?
Whoa! That was the fastest finish of the race! And the Maverick did it on its roof! Wait, that also means he won! Did the Maverick just win?
Yes, let's see if it was any clearer on the replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Okay, let's see if we can make heads or tails of this. So they start off pretty much even.
And they continue that way down the length of the downhill.
Yeah, but once they get into the bottleneck, that's when things go bonkers. The camera loses track of both racers.
And then it catches up just in time with the 350Z to watch it stall out.
But by that time, the Maverick was accelerating. Yes, accelerating on his roof across the line. Luckily, our finish line cam caught the action. Was the main cam being operated by one of the wrecking crew still wearing his welder's mask? I mean, I could have dropped the camera and probably done a better job. Luckily, the finish line cam is stationary, or we would have missed Maverick being saved by those safety rocks.
I really think you're missing the big picture here.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
The Maverick won again. And let's keep in mind, he didn't cross the line in Heat 1, so he's the first car in Scrapyard history to make it to the semi-final round by winning both of his races on his roof. Incredible. And he scored 2 big team points for Team Then, closing the gap and keeping them in the game. Plus, he has locked his position in Race 2 of the semi-finals, where he'll face off against the Nissan GTR.
Good luck. The battleship versus Godzilla? Yeah, I know who I'm rooting for.
Never mind him, folks. We've reached the end of today's event.
It's the Then versus Now challenge!
Welcome back to the Scrapyard, friends.
We're here with a special semi-finals pre-show so that the next time we meet we could get right into the racing action.
That's right, we're down to our final 4 contestants.
In semi-final race 1, we have the 1961 Impala SS versus the 2020 Shelby GT500. It's literally the oldest car versus the newest car in the tournament facing off. That's going to be one to watch.
And then in semi-final race 2, we have the Battleship vs. Godzilla. That's right, the 2 fan favorites, the 1971 Ford Maverick versus the 2017 Nissan GTR. That one will be a rousing thrill ride for sure. Now, let's quickly go over those race and tournament rules.
If you've been watching this tournament from the beginning, then you're probably sick of hearing this, but for everyone that's new, here we go. Each race consists of 3 heats. You need to win 2 out of 3 heats to continue. No restarts unless a double DNF, and this is not a timed event. Now, in the overall team standings, Team Now is ahead 10 points to 6. Team Then can still catch up because now we're in the semi-final rounds, and each race win is worth 3 points for their team. And don't forget, everyone is racing to compete against last year's champion. This guy, the 1988 Monte Carlo SS.
But wait, we have a special announcement.
Oh, that's right. We've changed the track for the semifinals.
Let's go to a live aerial shot from the Yellow Jacket to see what those changes are.
Yellow Jacket, this is the studio. Do you copy? Can you read us?
That's a copy. This is good old Wild Bob flying in the Yellow Jacket with your track flyby. Right here you can see they made the gate smaller and installed some newfangled metal doohickey to try and make it go up straighter, so no one gets an unfair type advantage when it goes flying off to the side. Then we kept it downhill, which goes into the narrow bottleneck on trains. But right over here we got the new Clunker Canyon, which leads onto the straight. And finally, everybody's favorite, them safety rocks at the end.
Wow, can we get a closer look at that new bit of track? What did you call it? The Clunker Pass?
That's close, son, but this ain't horseshoes. This here new bit is called Clunker Canyon. The boys even parked our transport rig out there. And for the record, they piled up those clunkers looser than my Nana's dentures after a night yapping on the phone. Get too close and you'll be in a whole mess of trouble. Too close to the clunkers, that is, not my Nana's false teeth.
We understood the reference, thank you. Over and out. And now, something extra special for you fans so you can experience what this track feels like firsthand. We've set up an onboard camera on an unmanned wreck from the Scrapyard, and we're sending it down the track.
3, 2, 1, go!
Yikes! That did not go as expected. That track is way more dangerous than it's ever been. Make sure you tune in next time for Race 1. You're not gonna want to miss it.
The Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And welcome back to the Scrapyard, friends.
It's the then versus now challenge.
Semifinals.
We hope you watched that pre-show, because we're jumping right into this one.
That's right, today's semifinal race is between the 1961 Impala SS versus the 2020 Shelby GT500. Good luck to both racers.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
The officials have had plenty of time to clear the track. We are all set to race. In lane 1, it's the Impala SS, and in lane 2, it's the GT500.
3, 2, 1, go!
They go wide! Mustang roof slides hard!
Impala all alone across the line!
Wow, let's go to that replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, we could see the new gate goes up pretty nice and straight.
More importantly, you can see how the Mustang gets squirrely right out of the gate. I think it's due to that alignment of his rear tire.
What was the Mustang's pit crew even thinking with that?
Well, whatever their plan was, it failed. Terribly.
Yeah, he tries to save himself by bracing against the Impala, but the Impala swats him off into the bottleneck.
Maybe he would have been able to recover if not for that horrible wheel alignment choice.
Right, and that caused a race-ending roof slide, so now he'll have to align his tires and his paint job.
Luckily for that Mustang, his roof slide didn't send him into those loose clunkers, or this race could have ended badly.
Well, who it didn't end badly for was the Impala, because he just sailed across the line.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Amazing that the Impala comfortably put the first win on the scorecard. That car has 410 horsepower less than the Mustang. Plus, it's 59 years older, and he just made that win look effortless. And we're back at the gate for Heat 2.
Mandatory lane change sees the 2020 Shelby GT500 in lane 1, followed by the Impala SS in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
Impala gets loose!
He's on two wheels!
So's the Mustang!
Impala pulls ahead!
I don't believe it! Let's go to that replay!
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see the Impala got loose right off the line.
And look how he tried to use the Mustang to straighten out, but he ends up ricocheting into the wall.
That would have been a race-ending collision for any other driver, but the Impala has made that 3,700-pound behemoth do the unbelievable in this tournament.
The Mustang even tries to kick him while he's down by blocking him hard into the bottleneck, but all it does is straighten him out.
And it actually ends up being the Mustang that just nicks the wall inside the bottleneck, which causes him to go into Clunker Canyon on two wheels.
Right, but he's not alone because only the Impala's driver's side tires are on the track.
But like I said a few moments ago, that Impala driver can make that heavy car dance like a ballerina. And he proves it by actually passing the GT500 while only on two wheels.
Not only does he pass the GT500, but he crosses the line with at least 2 full car lengths between them. Wow! Just wow! I did not see that coming.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Astonishingly, the Impala has put his second win on the scorecard. Heat 3 will be the Mustang's last chance to walk away with at least one quarterfinal win. Hey fans, have you always wished that you could work at the Scrapyard?
Well, have we got a surprise for you? Now you can get official Scrapyard gear and feel like you're one of the team on the wrecking crew here at the Scrapyard.
And it's not just clothes, we have clocks.
So you never miss a race.
Notebooks.
So you can keep score at home.
And pillows.
So you can cry in it when your favorite racer loses.
There's a heap of products available to make you feel like you're part of the Scrapyard.
I see what you did there. Junkyard, heap, I got it.
So head over to the Scrapyard official supplier by searching Ribuero on redbubble.com.
Or even better, just click on the link right down there in the description.
And while you're there, check out all of Ribuero's great designs.
That guy is awesome. He has enough designs to fill his own junkyard. Not that his stuff is junk. Oh, you know what I mean. He has a heap.
And each product you buy not only helps you feel like you're part of the Scrapyard team, but it helps keep the Scrapyard open and bringing you awesome diecast racing like the one you're watching now.
Thank you so much, and now back to the race.
And we are back at the gate for the final heat.
The Mustang has never lost before, and until now it used to be his Heat 3 playbook to just unleash all that horsepower and tear down the middle of the track. And now that I think about it, why didn't he just do that in every heat?
He's obviously a racer who cares just as much about style as he does about winning. Why else would he come out with the spin-out win in reverse to watch you lose move?
Yeah, I guess. We'll see what he does here.
Well, Scrapyard fans, for the last time today, we have the Impala in lane 1 and the GT500 in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
Mustang block!
Impala flips in the bottleneck!
Into the clunker!
GT500 all alone across the line!
Let's see that again!
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Even though he lost the race, this whole heat belongs to the Mustang.
Absolutely. The Impala was probably expecting him to rip straight down the middle, but instead he went wide.
Yeah, I bet the Impala thought he was having another wheel alignment issue.
But then, blammo! Right at the opening of the bottleneck, the Mustang executes the perfect race-ending block.
Blammo?
What? That's a perfectly acceptable onomatopoeia.
Yeah, sure it is. Anyway, the Impala roof slides all the way down the bottleneck and crashed into the big rig in Clunker Canyon.
And lucky for him, had he gotten into the pile of loose clunkers, he might have not been able to continue with the tournament.
Maybe a bit of dirty pool by the Mustang? Since he didn't win, maybe he thought he'd eliminate the competition and proceed by default.
We'll never know for sure. But what we can be certain of, the Mustang was not playing nice. And once the Impala wrecked in the canyon, the Mustang went right back to his Heat 3 playbook and just tore down the middle of the track.
Yeah, he was definitely angry, because even though he was all alone at the end, he still took out his frustration on the last safety rock and tree.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Even though the Mustang won this heat, the Impala wins the overall race. And amazingly, up to this point in the tournament, the Impala has always been the first car to secure his place in the next round. And he's just done it again. And let's not forget, today's semifinal win gives Team Then 3 big points. So now they're only trailing Team Now by 1 at 9 points to 10. Maybe the Battleship Maverick can actually put Team Then in the lead in Semifinal Race-02. But he's racing against Godzilla, so I doubt it.
It's the Then versus Now challenge.
Semifinals.
If you're joining us for the first time, then you're in for a treat. But you have a whole tournament you need to catch up on after this. So please be sure to check out our Then vs. Now Challenge playlist.
Today's semifinal race is between the two fan favorites. Team Then's 1971 Battleship Ford Maverick versus Team Now's 2017 Nissan GTR R35.
And if you don't know why they're fan favorites, then like I said before, you have a lot of catching up to do.
Correct, but for now let's get to the starting gate and get this race underway.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
The Scrapyard safety officials have cleared up the debris from Race 1 and we are set to go. Go watch it if you haven't seen it.
For Heat 1, we have the Maverick in Lane 1 and the GTR in Lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
GTR blocks!
Maverick counterblocks! GTR flips! The battleship is unsinkable! Godzilla goes down!
Okay, we get it, Mr. Impartial Judge. Let's just see the replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Okay, I really don't understand who is the head of Team Now's pit crew and why, oh why, they keep going with this odd rear tire alignment. It's the same exact setup the GT500 had in Race 1. Watch it if you haven't seen it. What was this supposed to do? What did they think this would accomplish?
I'll tell you what it did accomplish. Both members of Team Now flipped over at the same exact location while actually helping their opponents from Team Then straighten out and win.
Well, luckily Godzilla stopped right in the center of Clunker Canyon, because had any of those cars fallen on him, this race might have already been over. But hopefully, like that other Godzilla, this one will return to prove that he's the king of all monsters.
But just look at the Maverick with only 145 horsepower, over 5 times less than the GTR 762. He proves sometimes it's not about power, it's about stamina and guts.
Yeah, helped by the fact that that car is practically a solid chunk of steel compared to the carbon fiber goodness that is the Nissan. I mean, even though he was all alone, he still couldn't stop without the help of the safety trees after the finish line. An actual battleship stops faster than this battleship.
Why are you even looking at me that way? You're the one that came up with the name.
Yup, because it's heavy and slow, not because it's unbeatable.
Well,
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
the Battleship Maverick certainly seems unbeatable at this point, putting the first win on the scorecard of this last semi-final race.
This is it, fans. Get ready to watch Godzilla rise up and tear down the track like a nuclear beam.
Forgive him, fans. He was supposed to tell you that the mandatory lane change now sees the GTR in lane 1, followed by the Maverick in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
GTR miles ahead.
Maverick blocked.
But it loses it at the bottleneck.
Massive roof slide.
GTR nuclear beam across the line. Yes, baby.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
This right here is the GTR precision driver from the earlier rounds. I guess he fired the pit crew chief and put on his own tires, because he's back and reminding everyone why I predicted him to win it all and go down as the best driver in Scrapyard history. Just look how hard he pulls off the line.
But valiantly, the Maverick sees the opportunity to block, but he just doesn't have the horsepower to catch up to the GTR.
And by the time he does catch up, it's at the transition of the bottleneck. And that's tricky when you hit it just right. But the Maverick hit it all types of wrong.
And he proved once and for all the only person who could capsize the battleship is the battleship himself.
But I'll give it to the Maverick. He does manage to get the GTR sideways. I mean, look at that. He's perpendicular in Clunker Canyon. And he manages to power drift clean through, straighten out, and punch it so fast the camera drone can't even keep up with him. And this right here is why I say he's the best driver around, because even though he was power drifting down the length of the straight, as soon as he gets to the line, he's as straight as an arrow. This guy wants to make every finish a photo finish. He's just the best.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And with that photo finish, Godzilla has managed to tie things up. Let's see if the battleship can plug up any leaks and sail his way to victory in Heat 3.
Okay, we get it, Skipper. Enough with the boat references. This is the Scrapyard, not the shipyard.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
It lives, Master. It lives.
Yes. Yes. The Torque Monster lives. On this beautiful apparel designed by Ribuero. And now you can be the first villager to capture it for your very own by pillaging all these fine items by clicking on the link below. Every purchase you make helps this scrapyard keep racing and helps me creating more creations like this.
Finally, the final heat of the final semi-final race to decide who goes to the finals.
Just look at the way you're smiling. You've probably waited the whole tournament to say that. Never mind him, fans. For the last time, it's the Maverick back in lane 1 and the Nissan in lane 2.
2, 1, go!
They're even.
Maverick tries to block.
But he misses big time.
Another roof slide.
Godzilla wins. Whoa! Did you see what he just did? Let's get to that replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see how the GTR rockets off the line.
But the Maverick goes for a high-risk pit maneuver at the opening of the bottleneck.
Yeah, but he misses hard. He goes into a full 360, then ping-pongs his way down that tight hallway that is the bottleneck. But by the time he tries to level off, he hits the transition wrong again. And then it's just a repeat of Heat 2.
Every car that faced the Maverick couldn't even get him to budge. And now he's just flipped himself twice in a row. And it just cost him the competition.
As far as I'm concerned, there never was any competition. I mean, just look at the way the GTR comes across the line. He's still accelerating. He's going so fast that all the safety rocks move and he uproots the last safety tree. Now, can everyone, for once and for all, see why I call him Godzilla? He truly is the Monster King.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, with that win, the GTR has won the race. The Maverick has nothing to be ashamed of. He was the most underpowered car in this whole tournament, but he made it this far. Team Then should be proud of their battleship.
But the GTR did win, so Team Now gets 3 big points, expanding their lead 13-9.
And also with that win, the GTR has just secured his place in the finals, where he'll be facing off against Team Then's deceptively agile ballerina, the 1961 Impala SS.
You know where my money is.
It better be in your pocket, because as commentators and employees of the Scrapyard, it is prohibited for us to wager on these events.
Slow down there, Mr. Rulebook. It's just a figure of speech.
It's the Then versus Now challenge!
Welcome back to the Scrapyard, friends.
We're here with another pre-show so that next time we meet we could get right into the finals, because we are down to our final 2 contestants.
Representing Team Then, it's the 1961 Impala SS. This car has surprised many doubters. Not only is he the oldest car on the track, but he was also the first car to take the track at all way back in Race 1, where he faced the 1996 Impala SS, who was eliminated. Then, in the quarterfinals, he faced the mighty Corvette Z06, who was also eliminated. Then, lastly, in the semifinals, he faced the massively overpowered GT500, who was also eliminated. This Impala has proven an old, long, heavy car can still be unbelievably nimble and agile.
And representing Team Now is the car I have always predicted to win it all, the Nissan GT-R R35. In round 1, he not only eliminated, but completely embarrassed the 1972 Skyline. Then, in the quarterfinals, in the first ever teammate face-off, the GTR eliminated his closest competition, fellow Team Now member, the 2011 BMW M3 GT2. And in the semifinals, Godzilla proved that it takes a monster to sink a battleship, because the GTR took down fan favorite, the 1971 Ford Maverick. Proving once and for all, if there's any car that deserves to be in the finals, it's the mighty GTR.
And in case you're a new viewer, here's a quick reading of the race and tournament rules. Each race consists of 3 heats. The best 2 out of 3 heats advances. Restarts only happen in the case of a double DNF. Make it across the line any way possible. And this is not a timed event. And since we're now in the finals, the winner of the tournament will get 5 big points for their team. And the only chance Team Then has of catching up is by winning it all. But regardless of who wins the finals, the winner of the tournament will move on to face this guy, last year's champion, the 1988 Monte Carlo SS, for a chance to be dubbed the greatest car of all time. But that's not all, we have a special announcement.
That's right, we've changed the track yet again for the finals.
Now let's go to a live aerial shot from everybody's favorite junk copter, the Yellow Jacket, to see what those changes are.
Yellow Jacket, this is the studio. Do you copy? Can you read me?
I read you loud and clear. That's the copy. This is good old Wild Bob flying in the Yellow Jacket with your track flyby. For the finals, we put up lanes for the length of the downhill and the bottleneck. But don't think we did it for safety. We did it because at the end of the bottleneck, we installed a jump. And if them racers can land on all 4s and make it clear through Clunker Canyon, then it's onto the straight, across the line, and past everybody's favorite, them there safety rocks.
Thanks, Wild Bob. But that's not all. We've also installed a jump cam at track level so we can get the best possible view of all the action.
It's the Then versus Now challenge!
Man, we really hope you saw our pre-show because we're starting this race now.
That's right, the final race, the 1961 Impala SS from Team Then versus the 2017 Nissan GT-R from Team Now. It's race time!
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are at the gate. Officials have finished their safety checks. In In lane 1, it's the Impala. In lane 2, it's the Nissan GTR.
3, 2, 1, go!
Whoa!
GTR out front.
They flipped!
I don't believe it. The Impala flips over and wins. The ballerina wins.
Before we get into the race, I want to talk about this right here. Look at this. How dangerous is this? The GTR is in first, the Impala's in second, and the gate is in a close third. What are the officials doing in their safety checks? The wrecking crew assembled that metal doohickey to make the gate go up straight, but did anyone consider how it would come down?
The wrecking crew at the Scrapyard are professionals. I'm sure they ran safety tests before clearing it for use.
What's that?
Oh, the studio's in my ear telling us to move on. Anyway, let's look at that new jump cam.
The GTR comes off that jump hard, but look at the height the Impala gets, and he lands on one tire.
But even more impressive is the nose slide he does down the straight. It's easy to see why his teammates call him the ballerina. The way he makes that 3,700-pound car dance almost defies reality. The way he slides on his nose, puts the car down millimeters from the GTR and manages to flip around him, right himself, and cross the line in reverse for the win. I'm speechless.
Speechless? Speechless? You just blabbed about the Impala for a good minute straight. I'm not concerned. The GTR has done this in the past. Test the waters in Heat 1, then Godzilla releases the monster and dominates the rest of the heats.
Well, we don't know for sure what will happen in Heats 2 and 3, but what we do know for sure is the Impala just put on a breathtaking automotive ballet and put the first win on the scorecard.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
We're back at the gate, and I guess we're not doing lane changes for the finals. So it's the Impala still in lane 1 and the GTR still in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
GTR takes the lead.
Impala crashes!
Into the jump cam. GTR spins across the line. See? I told you, Godzilla dominates. This is exactly what I told you was Godzilla's game plan. Test the waters in the first heat, then dominate the rest of the race. He pulls off the line and never lets up.
The ballerina kept falling farther behind, and I think he was trying some last-ditch barrel roll move off the jump to pick up speed, but it did not go well for him.
For him? What about the jump cam operator? He took 3,700 pounds of Impala to the face. Did anyone even check to see if he's okay? What is going on today? The danger level is completely on a different scale today at the Scrapyard.
I'm sure he's fine. Every member of the wrecking crew has to wear a hard hat when working the races.
Hard hat? He took an Impala to the face.
Moving on. Look at the way the GTR loses control and skids across the line after all that commotion.
Commotion? The guy took an Impala to the face. But you're right. Look how the GTR displays the pinnacle in sportsmanship. He sees his opponent had a hard crash and crosses the finish line just enough to win. Wow, what a champion.
Slow down there, he hasn't won yet.
One more heat. That's all he needs. Like I said before, the danger level is high today, but the most dangerous thing on that track is still Godzilla.
Well, with that, the GTR puts a win on the scorecard, tying it all up. And after an unfortunate mishap, let's see if the Impala's luck will improve in the final heat.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
We're all tied up. This is the one to decide it all. One of these racers is about to have his whole life changed.
Lanes are the same, with the Impala in lane 1 and the GTR in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh my god!
Oh my goodness!
See, I told you!
We need help!
Wow, Bob, get the rescue crew out there, stat!
I'm on it like gravy on a biscuit.
Please show some decorum and cut the commercial.
Hey yo, how you doing? It's Frankie V here. I've been a cab driver in this city for the past 37 years, and I've seen it all. But what I ain't ever seen is shirts like this Ribuero is making. That's some high quality right there. You don't have to just wear them either. You could use them as a napkin if the corner guy put too much cream cheese on your bagel. And you could even use it to stick in a busted radiator hose to get back to the station on time so your boss don't bust your fucking balls for being late. I'm telling you, nothing says New York like this fucking shirt. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. So go ahead, click that fucking link right there, order some stuff, forget about it.
See, I told you that gate was dangerous.
We're back on. Welcome back to the Scrapyard, fans. We're gonna review what just happened here and what the officials have decided. So let's get to the replay.
As I've been saying all along, that metal doohickey did not look sturdy enough to support the massive weight of the starting gate.
Unfortunately, when the gate came down, it came down hard, right on the tail end of the Impala. We've seen the ballerina flip that car around all tournament, but this time it was completely brutal and unintentional.
And it flips him, sending him smashing on his roof, and he took the whole length of the downhill and the bottleneck upside down.
And the bottleneck is tricky enough on all four wheels, but upside down the Impala had no chance, and the orange safety lanes actually worked against him as he crashed hard right at the end.
The jump cam, you could see how badly it went for the Impala. Meanwhile, the GTR was having the perfect run. He hits the jump dead center, lands clean, and tears down the center of the track. I know we don't time our races, but I'm sure that was a record-setting run.
I did admire how even after the Impala hit him in Heat 2, the jump cam operator still dropped his camera and ran to help.
Yeah, but only after he got the shot.
Hey, we might be a junkyard, but we're still running a professional racing channel.
Oh yeah, I could tell how professional we are by our safety measures. What are the officials giving us an okay on before the start of each race anyway?
Moving on. Let's get the official ruling. Since this was technically the track's flaw and no fault of either racer, the officials are calling for a mandatory restart.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are for the mandatory restart, and hopefully for everyone's safety, the last heat of the day. The Impala requested a lane change and the officials have obliged.
And he deserves it. After what that poor guy just went through, he makes getting an Impala to the face seem like a body massage.
3, 2, 1, go!
GTR leads!
Impala passes!
Did you just see that?
Yes, I did, and it was beautiful. What a way for the Impala to win.
I bet 99% of the fans missed it. Let's see the replay. 1. Look at that lead. I thought the GTR had it in the bag at this point. 2. But also look at the gate. It's still going way too far down the downhill for my liking. Can't we get that fixed?
We've already put in a work order, but moving on. Look how the Impala catches up to the GTR in the air and then passes him only on his front tire. The ballerina was going to show off all his dance moves. But then...
No. Let me tell it.
Really?
Yes. Really. The Impala sees the GTR is catching up to him, and the ballerina shows he was saving one secret dance move for the end. He blocks the GTR with his teammate's signature ping-pong pinball block, the Maverick. But he does it in reverse. If Godzilla had to go down, he couldn't lose to a more skilled driver. The Impala has really earned my respect this day.
Wow! I wouldn't have believed that had I not just heard it with my own 2 ears. We have our champion, fans! With that spectacular finish, the Impala puts the final win on the scorecard. The Impala has won it all. And incredibly, the 5 points from today's race also means that Team Then has won it all as well. Team Then trailed for such a long time in this tournament, it almost seemed impossible for them to win it all. They really owe that ballerina a huge debt of gratitude.
And look, there they are, the final 4 contestants from the semifinals, and the Impala in its rightful place on the podium as this year's champion. At the start of this tournament, there was no way I thought Team Then could win. But when it all came down to the wire, the Battleship Maverick and the Ballerina Impala made a believer out of me. Congratulations to the team then and the Impala.
But wait, we're not finished yet, Scrapyard fans. Now the Impala has to see if he has what it takes to beat last year's champ and be crowned the greatest car of all time as they face off next time in the
Grand Championship. Welcome to Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
The most iconic cars in automotive history. From yesterday to today. 16 entered. 1 became champion. But can he win it all?
It's the then versus now challenge!
Grand Championship.
Welcome back to the Scrapyard, friends.
Wow, is it just me, or are those intros getting longer? How much are we spending on those? Better not be coming out of my bonus.
Well, don't worry, it's the last one because this is the event we've all been waiting for. The Grand Championship. Can this year's then versus now champion, the 1961 Impala SS, beat last year's champion, the 1988 Monte Carlo SS, to be crowned the greatest car of all time? And let's not waste any more time and see what the rules are for this spectacular event.
Oh, you're gonna love this, because I have a surprise for you. Cue the title card.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
We start off with the basics. Each race is 3 heats. Best 2 out of 3 wins. Make it across the line any way possible. This is not a timed event. But then, are you ready for it? Since this is the Grand Championship, each heat will start with a Birdco backwards blast off.
A Birdco backo what?
A Birdco backwards blast off. See, unlike us, there are some people on the internet who race toy cars.
Really? Interesting. Tell me more.
Well, one of the best channels around is Hot Wheels Calgary Daily Diecast Races, and he takes the daily part of his name very seriously. He posts new races every single day. And then there was one time some cars kept tying, so he had to come up with something on the spot. You know what? Instead of me talking about it, let me just show you.
There's a tie. There's a tie. Okay. You know what we're gonna do for tiebreaker? Yeah. You know what? We're just gonna wing it here because you know what? Because we're having fun with Diecast Racing. Okay. Same lanes, but we're gonna run them backwards as a tiebreaker. Ready, set, go. And oh my goodness! So Peugeot takes first win. I know. I can already see the comments. You know, that's not what you did before. You can't do that. Well, you know what? We're here to have fun.
So I figured if the Scrapyard is going to crown an actual car the greatest car of all time, we can't just have them winning forwards. They need to prove they could win in any direction. So to honor Hot Wheels Calgary, I came up with the Birdco backwards blast off. So all heats will start in reverse.
Amazing. I love it, and I think the fans will love it too. Thanks to Hot Wheels Calgary for the inspiration.
Oh yeah, and when you're done watching here, everyone go check out his channel and subscribe. It's one of the most fun channels on the internet. His laugh alone is infectious, and the fun he has racing Hot Wheels will cure any bad day.
Well, what about the track itself? Have you and the wrecking crew made any changes there?
Oh, but of course. But let's give good old Wild Bob the chance to tell us all about it with a track flyby. Wild Bob, you copy?
That's a copy. This is good old Wild Bob flying in the yellow jacket with your track flyby. We picked the orange safety lanes from the final because this time at the end of the jump we parked the big rig the long ways. And you'll need to clear it to make your way past through Clunker Canyon and down the final straight all the way past them there safety rocks. The Scrapyard is as dangerous as an ornery porcupine with ravers. And if you can make it through it all, then I reckon you deserve to be called the greatest car of all time.
Thank you, Bill. Sorry, Bob. Well, I for one am beyond excited to see the Monte Carlo SS back on the track.
I'm sure the fans are excited too, especially those that didn't see last year's tournament, because then all they've gotten to see of the Monte Carlo is this teaser footage.
Well, we've seen the racers.
Check.
We've heard the new rules.
Check.
And we've seen the new track.
Check and double check. So the next time we meet, we could get right into the race. And I can't wait.
Welcome to Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Welcome back to the Scrapyard, friend.
Hey, that's my line.
Sorry, I still ain't used to this word machine.
It's called a teleprompter.
So do I read them red words or the blue ones?
You're the red text, my text is in blue, and his is in black.
Moving on. We're here for the Grand Championship, the race to decide the greatest car of all time.
And if you haven't already guessed, we have a special guest with us today in the broadcast booth. Everyone's favorite helicopter pilot, Wild Bob. Say hello, Bob.
But there's no little red hello up on the screen.
We're just ad-libbing. We're not on prompter yet. And more importantly, the fans don't want us wasting time. So let's see if it's the 1961 Impala SS or the 1988 Monte Carlo SS that will be crowned the greatest car of all time.
All time.
What are you doing?
I'm doing an echo sound effect to make our show seem like a fancy Hollywood picture.
Anyway, if you missed our pre-show, then you missed a big one. Because all of our heats are starting with the Birdco backwards blast-off.
And for the inspiration, we'd like to give Hot Wheels Calgary Daily Diecast Racing another big thanks.
Big thanks.
Stop doing that.
Anyway, after you watch this race, go back and watch the pre-show. Then go subscribe to Hot Wheels Calgary. Now, let's get racing.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
In lane 1, it's the Impala SS, that red one. And in lane 2, it's the Monte Carlo, not the red one.
3, 2, 1, go!
Again? Monte Carlo on its roof.
Impala takes the first win.
I thought we put in a work order to fix this dangerous gate. I'm sure the Impala was having flashbacks from the finals inside that car. Watch that video if you haven't already done so. How long does it take for a work order to go through around here?
Did you fill out them forms in triplicate? Retain the white copy and send in the yellow, and then fax us your proof of insurance?
What? A fax? But what is this, 1995? Why are you getting work orders anyway? You're the helicopter pilot.
Son, I'm not only a pilot. At the junkyard, we have to wear many hats. It's kind of just like how I'm also a broadcast co-host.
Special guest. But focusing on why we're here, look at the way the Monte Carlo pulls a reverse block into the jump. He was trying to eliminate the Impala SS as quick as he could.
And I think that ends up costing him big time. Because from the jump cam, you could see he came down on his rear corner and barrel rolled out of control.
And I hope that fella operating that camera had a spare pair of clean britches, because I'm sure he needed them after seeing a whole heap of Monte Carlo headed to his noggin.
From the aerial drone, you could see that the Monte Carlo actually knocks the camera tower over. I guess we'll need another work order for that too.
In triplicate.
You can see the Impala using all his ballerina dancing skills, struggling hard to maintain control and avoid the Monte Carlo down the length of the straight.
And from the finish line cam, you could see the Impala is not here to mess around. He pulled out the Maverick block right here in Heat 1. He wants this win bad. And for a chance to beat the reigning champ, you really can't blame him.
Plus, in keeping with the Birdco backwards blast-off, he made sure to spin his car around and end to win in reverse. So I'm going to give him a total combined score of 9.7.
That's not how it works. We don't score on points. We do it like this. With that win, the Impala, aka the Ballerina, puts the first win on the scorecard, taking his first step towards being crowned the greatest car of all time. And we're back at the gate for the start of Heat 2.
And I'm figuring that Monte Carlo is itchier to get this started than a fleet-covered dog rolling in a poison ivy patch.
Wow, that would be pretty itchy.
Gentlemen, please, show some decorum. These people are here to watch a race.
Mandatory lane change still applies during the Birdco backwards blast-off, so it's the Monte Carlo in lane 1 and the Impala in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're even. Yeehaw! Into the jump cam.
Monte Carlo upside down and across the line.
These fellas go down the downhill as even as a set of twins in a three-legged race. What?
And they stay neck and neck all the way through the bottleneck.
But once they hit that jump into Clunker Canyon, whoo doggy, things get hog wild.
And the Impala again crashes into the jump cam operator.
Watch the first crash in our finals video if you haven't done so already.
Hopefully one of his many hats is a slip and fall lawyer, cause I'm thinking he's got himself a workman's comp case.
Company policy is every wrecking crew member must wear a hard hat when working the races.
But this is his second Impala to the face.
But just look at how after slightly brushing up against the jump cam tower, the ballerina is able to flip his car around and get back on all four wheels.
And look at how all that ballerina in let the Monte Carlo slip on by for an inverted vertical backwards bonus.
Oh, I get it, cause he's on his roof.
See? You're catching on, son.
And with that win, the Monte Carlo proves why he's last year's champion. And most importantly, he ties it all up.
And that's why you never take a baby rattlesnake from its mama.
Thanks, Wild Bob. Now we know. SDR.
If you know how the rest of that goes, then you were probably an 80s kid. And what better way to let the whole wide world know that you grew up in the greatest decade of all time is with one of these here shirts from Ribeiro Design. Heck, he's made it so easy you can just click on the link in that there description and order up one of these fine apparel. And each item you buy helps keep me flying and gas into Yellow Jack. But you better act quick, cause these shirts are gonna go faster than a toupee in a hurricane. Yo!
Did you see that? I made a commercial. I told you I wear many hats.
That was awesome. I'm gonna buy something.
Gentlemen, please. Moving on to Heat 3.
That's right, excluding any unforeseen craziness. This could be the final heat to decide it all.
And everyone knows here at the Scrapyard we specialize in crazy.
Mandatory lane change for the final heat sees the Impala back in lane 1 and the Monte Carlo in lane 2. Good luck, gentlemen.
3, 2, 1, go!
It's close.
They both roll.
Impala crashes.
Monte Carlo takes it on his roof.
Did Monte Carlo just repeat win on his roof? Is he the winner?
That was funner than the opening day at the county fair. Let's watch it again.
They come down the straight so evenly, neither racer wants to give up an inch.
And they stay neck and neck again, all the way through the bottleneck. They both want that title so bad you can feel it.
But right at the jump, things go plumb loco. They both go for the jump cam operator. Does that fella owe them money or something?
From the aerial drone, you can see just how many cut-up oil drums the Impala takes out.
Cut up oil drums?
What?
We purposely cut up those oil drums and put them on Clunker Canyon to keep the cars on track. You know, for safety, and they're just oil drums, not safety drums.
What? No, that's just silly. Who would call them that?
Gentlemen, please, a little decorum. We are supposed to be reviewing here this monumental event. Look at how the Monte Carlo takes the whole dang final straight backwards and on his roof. That there's what I call a vertical backwards bonanza. Not only has the Monte Carlo won, but he's just proved he's the bear.
The bear? What the heck is that?
Well, I hears them young whippersnappers calling everybody and anybody the GOAT. This one's a GOAT, that one's a GOAT. Well, goats ain't scary. I had tons of them on the farm. If anything, they downright pretty funny little critters. Now a bear commands respect.
Yes, GOAT is an anagram. Does bear even stand for anything?
Of course it does. It stands for Best Ever at Racing. B-E-A-R. The Bear. Every time that Monte Carlo came down the straight, he was upside down and backwards. Even in Heat 1 when he lost, he went beyond them vertical backwards blast-offs each and every time. And if that don't prove he's the best ever at racing, or the bear, then I'll eat my hat.
Well, this whole tournament we kept saying greatest car of all time was just a placeholder until we found something better. And I think Bear it is. Wow, Bob, did you just make that up on the spot?
Of course I did, son. 'Cause like I told you in the beginning of this here race, I'm a professional co-host.
And with that final win, the Monte Carlo proves without a doubt that he is the Bear, being the first car in Scrapyard history to defend his title and win the same tournament 2 years in a row. He truly is the best ever at racing. But don't leave yet, fans. We're heading back down at trackside for the award celebration. And there they are, every car from Team Now and Team Then assembled for the final time. And there's the two-time champ, the Bear, on the podium with his well-deserved championship trophy.
Look at Team Now. Hey, is that all that's left of the stripped-out 96 Impala? Just his interior?
He's had a really hard time paying off his racing fees.
Even the safety crew is out there. And hey, is that the Yellow Jacket? Whoa, wait a sec. If that's parked out there, and while Bob is in here, who's out there flying?
Oh, shucks. That's my baby brother, William. He always copied me growing up, and he became a chopper pilot, too. He's even got himself a special name for his whirly bird. I think he calls it the dragon fruit, or something like that. Anyways, I asked him if he'd take on this special mission to come out to the scrapyard and film this here celebration. And little Bill is making his big brother proud.
And parked next to the Yellow Jacket is all of Team Then, along with this year's Then vs. Now champion, the Bear runner-up, the 1961 Impala SS, also known as the Ballerina. Hey, wait a minute! Is that the 1969 Camaro and its driver?
How is that possible? He's dead! Is he a ghost? A zombie? Oh man, he's a vampire. Oh man, I need a hiding place. Quick, get me to the nearest safety rock.
Mr. Wild, what's going on here? I thought you said this man died on his way to the hospital way back in race number 7.
What in tarnations are you blabbering on about? I said no such thing.
But you told the studio he didn't make it.
Exactly. When them studio honchos asked me if the Camaro driver made it to the hospital, I told them no, he didn't make it, which he didn't. About 3/4 of the way there, he jumped up out of that gurney quicker than a lightning bolt. And it said, get me back to the track, I got one more heat to race. And by that time, that HT Skyline fella had taken his place and won. Why, that Camaro fella was so giddy, he made me land the Yellow Jacket in the parking lot of the first watering hole we flew over. And he paid for the first 4 rounds of sarsaparilla.
Were you planning on telling us?
Planning on telling you what? That a fella who ain't dead, ain't dead?
But we had a memorial and everything. I even cried. Was that all for nothing?
Nah, not nothing. Over 275 views from my last count.
Well, on that bombshell, it looks like it's time to say goodnight.
It's been an absolute honor to be your special guest and co-host tonight. This is good old Wild Bob saying over and out. Hey, wait a tick. You fellas ain't been very gentlemanly, 'cause you ain't even introduced yourselves to all them fans out there watching.
I guess in all the excitement, we just forgot. My apologies, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. I am Barnabas Tone, but all my friends call me Barry.
You work too much. You don't have any friends.
Of course I do.
Okay, name one, and you can't say Wild Bob.
Will I have a friend named, Oh, stop wasting time and introduce yourself by saying goodbye.
Fans, it has been an absolute dream come true being your co-host and color commentator. My full name is Frederick Allen Seto, but everyone just calls me Al.
Y'all, it takes a lot of work to host one of these here tournaments while also working full-time on an active junkyard. So on behalf of all of us here at the Scrapyard, thank you for watching. And a special thank you to all those who liked, commented, and subscribed. It really makes those long nights go through a little bit quicker and makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Yes, thank you all for watching the Then vs. Now challenge. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so, because the Scrapyard will be back soon to announce our next event, and you're not gonna want to miss it.
The Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
It's the Then vs. Now challenge!